I'm in illustrious company here with this Spitfire and the big baby at the back, the Lancaster, Mark 10. But let me deal with the Spitfire, which saved England. They were the saviors of England during the Battle of Britain in the 40s. They had their losses, it's true, but the Germans coined the phrase which was to last throughout the war, Achtung Spitfire. And believe me, when they started to buzz, they could take on 10 times their number and still come out winning. The Spitfire never was so much owed to so few, according to Churchill, and he was absolutely right. But this is the baby at the back. This huge four-engined Lancaster, Mark 10, this one. It was made by the Victory Aircraft Company at Walton and flown the Atlantic, and it was allocated to the Alouette Squadron, 425. It's powered by 4 Rolls-Royce Merlins. It carried a crew of 7. Pilot, navigator, front turret, of course. You mustn't forget the little man in the front. Navigator, rear turret, mid-upper turret. They all fitted into that body, and they all had a part to play. It was a teamwork. Now, according to what's written up there, it's got 72 bombs on. That doesn't tell you much of a story, but believe me, one of those bombs represents the bombs. I'll show you the bombs later. They've had them laid out in this magnificent aeronautical museum in Ottawa. Rear turret had 4 303 guns mounted in the rear, and they all converged at 600 feet. Front turret had 2, still a convergence of 600. Remember, you're flying primarily, you're flying in pitch darkness, so your eyes had to be perfect and your aim very, very good. Now look up to this huge towering nose. Everybody fitted like gloves. Down below was the bomb aimer's spot. He crawled under the front gunner and he laid prone and he worked from there. Above him was the front gunner guarding anything that came in from the front. Above him you had the pilot and the navigator, the pilot and the flight engineer, and they sat and they coordinate each other to bring that aircraft to and from the target. The bomb bay. This plane was made for one specific purpose. It wasn't converted after the war. It didn't carry passengers. It was made to carry bombs. And it carried more bombs than any bomber that was built during World War II or flew in it. The beginning, from Mark 5, they could carry 18,000 pounds worth of bombs, compared with about 14 for a B-17. The later versions, Mark 12, 13 and 14, they could carry a blockbuster with a total capacity of 22,000 pounds. Imagine it. There were blockbusters too. What else can I tell you about that magnificent aircraft? Incidentally, all bombers during World War II had whether it was Betty Grable, Winston Churchill, this one's called Winnie. But they all had their own little trademark, so that when they were coming in and in the dawn, that was one of the first things that was recognized. All in all, a bomber. I remember I wrote a story in the beginning of what we call Peace. And it wasn't really a story, it was, and it started off, "The angels of death are gathering." From all parts of England they came. And believe me, that's exactly what it was. You could see nothing towards the end of the war but these huge 4-engine monsters going over to strike at the enemy.
Along with hundreds of recorded interviews, our group has been involved with the recovery of submerged aircraft from Norway, Belgium, Malta, England, and the Baltic Sea. Our Zoom show, airplanehunters.org details these aircraft recoveries as we honor our veterans.
Hi everybody, Carl Casgard reporting to you from Bomber Command Museum of Canada in Nanton, Alberta, and along with my colleague and buddy Scott Knox at the Rebuild Shop in Arnprior, Ontario, where we're doing all the Halifax bomber restoration. Welcome. We want to give you an update, and we're going to try the split screen today, show you this little program on our great progress. We're in the last month of 2021 in December, and we've made good, steady progress.